hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie, and today I have coastal fall DIYs for you. So think like Dollar Tree, dollar store fall DIYs, but with a coastal vibe. So the first DIY, I wanted to make a fun little beachy fall sign, and I'm actually going to use this sign that I got at the Target dollar spot. They have very similar ones at Dollar Tree though, so you could totally do it with those. They have square, they also have rectangle, maybe a little bit bigger than this one. That would totally work. I do like the natural wood for the frame on this, so I'm just going to use some painter's tape and tape that off. You guys know I love a beachy sign that is blue with white writing on it. I think that looks really coastal and fun. So I wanted to kind of give me a nice beachy color. And I was working with chalk paint, so I'm mixing agave with a little bit lighter blue just to lighten it up a little bit. Because sometimes it can dry like more of a medium color. I really wanted this to be a nice soft blue color. And it was super easy to paint that sign. And now I also want a leaf. So I'm using a wood leaf ornament from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just filling the hole in it with some spackle because, again, they are ornaments like that. And I don't want that to be in it on the final project. I go over it with a coat of ivory chalk paint. And then I want it to look distressed. So I go in with some Antique Wax by Waverly and a chunky brush. And I distress pretty heavily along the edges of my leaf. And then I'm also going to go all over, kind of give it a distressed coastal vibe. If you get too much on it or you want to blend it in, a baby wipe is great for that. I don't want it to be too dark though, so I will brighten it back up with a little bit more ivory. I do want to touch up the spackle though, just to make sure that that's not visible in the final product. And then I kind of distress all over with my original color of ivory to brighten that up. Now, this is dry, so we can go ahead and remove the painter's tape. I'm actually going to use Dollar Tree white vinyl for this to make a fun beachy fall sign. You guys know that's not my favorite kind of vinyl because it does stick to your mat. So if you use it, be warned. But I think I used like a light grip mat on this and wasn't too bad. But this is the design that I'm going to cut out. It says the leaves are falling and the beach is calling, which I love this. And I normally save these. I just checked my Cricut design space and it is not on there, but I did use one font for the whole thing. And the font on Cricut design space was Hello. But you know, any kind of cursive font I think would be really good. I just aligned mine where they all align over on the right side of the sign. And then I'm going to use my favorite paper, transfer paper, to add this to the sign. And even though it's freshly painted, that vinyl is going to go great on there with little distress on here. So I kind of designed it with enough space to leave for the leaf. And I'm just scraping that vinyl on. It did pretty good for Dollar Tree vinyl, right? And then here is the little leaf. So I kind of want that to look like it is a falling leaf to go with the words on the sign. And so I just kind of glue it on where it's kind of like falling down to the side. Now, one thing I like to do when I do use vinyl for my lettering on signs, to make them a little bit more permanent, make sure they don't come off, I like to seal them with Mod Podge. I think it does help. Especially since it was Dollar Tree vinyl. I might not have to do that on one that was a little bit better quality, but I'm really obsessed with the matte white vinyl that I've been getting on Amazon lately. I love that. I think it goes great with Coastal Farmhouse because it doesn't have any sheen at all in it too. And the matte Mod Podge also tones that down. And then you know I'm going to distress it with a little bit of ivory for that definite Coastal Farmhouse vibe. I distress in one direction and then I follow that up with a baby wipe. And And I probably should have done that before I attached the leaf because then I kind of had to distress around it, but I'm going to make do. And just wiping off the excess with a baby wipe. I do want to make that leaf a little bit more special, so I do plan on layering another Dollar Tree leaf on top of it, but I was just trying to get my level of distress very even. Now I also want it to be like a standing up sign, and so I just have a wood block. It is a Jenga block from Five Below. I love using these, and it can be anything, but I just needed something to glue to the back to make my sign stand up. And then this was the final touch that I was talking about. They have these every year at Dollar Tree. They're the little blue maple leaf, and I think that's going to look perfect. So I just cut down the stem on this one so I can kind of layer that on the Dollar Tree wood leaf there. And it kind of sticks it out and makes the leaf a little bit more 3D, but it totally goes with the blue coastal vibe of the sign. And then I thought maybe a little raffia bow would be a really good final touch on that. And I had that left over from another fall DIY that I had removed. And so it's just a tied raffia bow. And I added that too, just because I thought that looked super beachy. And this is how it turned out. Isn't that expression so cute? The leaves are falling and the beach is calling. And again, that was just the hello font on Cricut Design Space. But I think it turned out really beachy and fun. And now we're going to move on to a coastal pumpkin. Now they have these every year at Dollar Tree too. These are the little stand-up pumpkins. The great thing about these is they already have a base. They are covered with this fabric and glitter, but we're going to kind of do our own thing on this and just kind of use that as a background. I go on first all over the pumpkin with Dollar Tree tacky glue. This is a really thick glue and it works great for attaching pebbles and stuff like that. And that's what we're going to be using for this little coastal fall pumpkin. I want it to look like blue pebbles, so we're using those light blue pebbles from the Dollar Tree. You guys know I love crafting with these. I've made many projects with these. So I kind of just spread those out on the wet tacky glue, and we're going to try to cover up this entire image that was on there, just going straight over it. And I think that if I get enough of the pebbles on there, it's going to kind of block any of the colors or writing that was on there. And so I was a little concerned by the sides not having enough glue. So I did the middle first, and then I'm just adding a thicker layer of the tacky glue to the sides to make sure there's plenty. And then just sprinkling out the blue pebbles on this too. You might want to put something down before you do this project, because as you can see, it can get a little messy there, especially on the sides. Once I got it all on there, I started gluing it or drying it with my heat gun. And then I like to use some of this aerosol spray glue, also from the Dollar Tree, to spray on top to help seal that down. I've been having trouble finding that at Dollar Tree lately. I don't know if they have discontinued it or if I've just been unlucky. But I let it dry. Sometimes you have to let that dry overnight because it is super wet. But then I just use some Dollar Tree white rope. This is the thinner one. And I'm just simply wrapping that around the little stem of the pumpkin all the way up. And I do want to make it a little bit longer than the one that was on there before. So once I kind of run out of room there, I just kind of start gluing it to itself, making it more narrow as I go up and kind of veering it off to the side, kind of like you would see a pumpkin stem. And of course that Dollar Tree white rope mixed with the blue pebbles looks super coastal. And I like that it already has a base on it, so that is a step that I don't have to do. It makes this DIY a little bit easier. And then I thought it needs a seahorse, right? So this is one of the little shore living seahorse ornaments. Again, it has a hole in it, so I use a little spackle to fill that up. And we're going to paint him with some ivory chalk paint as well. I thought the ivory would be a great contrast against the blue pebbles, and it's going to match the white rope from the Dollar Tree as well. And I also followed that up with a light distress with some antique wax by Waverly. And he's got a lot of details around the edges, so kind of some fun places to really kind of distress him a little bit to make him look weathered. And then I actually just hot glue the little seahorse on top of the pebbles for a super coastal little pumpkin. I added a little bit more hot glue in there just to make sure he sticks down to the pebbles. And I think he turned out really cute. Very, the colors are very beachy, so I thought, you know, instead of like a traditional pumpkin leaf, maybe some of this like palm frond from the Dollar Tree. I just cut off the tips of 2 of them to make some smaller like little fern pieces. And I also picked out 2 different shades to make little pumpkin leaves here at the top of our pumpkin. Because it doesn't have to be traditional. You can make it nice and coastal like this. I also take some Dollar Tree wire jute and wrapped it around a pencil to make a little tendril. And I love using those for little pumpkin DIYs. They really remind me of the little tendril that can come out of the top of a pumpkin. So I hot glue one of the little fern pieces down. And you kind of have to be careful. Sometimes it's better to hot glue the ends of those before you start cutting that wire jute because it does like to fray a little bit. I'm just going to secure mine underneath the leaf there with some hot glue, kind of having it stick out the side. And then I decided maybe a seashell here at the top instead of an extra palm frond. And I think it looks really cute. It's just lots of little beachy touches, but I think that they all come together for a really cute project. What do you guys think about our little seahorse and pebble pumpkin? Okay, are you guys ready for another coastal fall DIY? I'm actually using a fall sign, but it can be any sign because we're going to make it our own. I just wanted a Dollar Tree square sign to DIY, and this is one that I had in stock. Now, I don't really want to bother with the glitter on this, and so that is going to be the back of my fall sign anyway, so I just cover it up with some Dollar Tree, like wood grain vinyl, just to make the back of my project look finished. It's going to seal in all of the glitter, and your girl doesn't have to mess with it. I cut the piece out a little bit larger so I can follow that up with a sanding sponge. Around the edges, it's going to give me a perfect cut, and it's going to give me a nice blank sign to work with today. Now, I kind of wanted this to look like coastal farmhouse boards, and so I'm using some ivory chalk paint on the back of that. It's just that like raw MDF wood on the back of the sign, but it doesn't matter because we're going to paint it anyway. We're going to make it look a lot better. So kind of low on paint there, but we're going to make it work. And I just going all over with ivory chalk paint. You could always use acrylic too. You might have to use more coats though, because we are trying to cover up that brown. Now, if you have any staple damage on the back of your sign like I kind of did, you can just put a little bit of spackle in there and it looks great. Now, I told you I wanted it to kind of look like white boards. And so to get that look, I am just using a ruler and a black ink pen and just drawing some boards on there. Quick, easy little hack to make it look a little bit more high-end. And then instead of distressing with Antique Wax by Waverly, I'm actually going to distress with agave, so a blue color. And I'm working in one direction and just a light distress all over. And then I just blend that in with a baby wipe. And this is going to be like kind of a layered sign for fall where we're going to have a couple of different items all working together. So this is going to be a nice background piece to the sign. Now you do have to be careful. You got to make sure they're not bowed, but I've noticed that when I do layer signs, it does help straighten them out a little bit. I thought it looked a little dark, so I'm just distressing with that same ivory that we did before, just to try to brighten it up a little bit after distressing it with the blue. And this is something that you just kind of have to work with until it looks like what you're thinking. Now I'm going to make a quick hanger for the back with just a dot of hot glue on each side and some Dollar Tree jute to make just a little rope hanger for the sign. And it's good to do it now before you have any other things on there. Setting that aside, this is what we're going to add to this. This is a Dollar Tree acorn, but we're going to make ours look really tropical and fun for fall. So using like my favorite removable wallpaper from Dollar Tree, we're going to cover the acorn with this light blue, like palm tropical print. I just draw the shape of the acorn on the back of it with an ink pen, and we're just going to kind of make it a little bit arched like you would have for an acorn. So I kind of had to freehand that part, but I did use a ruler for reference to try to make it even. Now, the great thing about this is once you have it all drawn on there, you can just cut that out with scissors, easy peasy, and it's going to cut that down the perfect size to cover like the little part of the acorn. Is that called the nut part? I don't even know. I think the top of it's called the cap, right? Gonna have to get my fall facts straight. And it's peel and stick wallpaper, so you just peel and stick that. That's gonna cover the acorn. And if it's not on there perfect, you can always touch it up with a little sanding block. Now I want to cover the top part of my acorn with burlap. And this is actually burlap that I got at Walmart, but now burlap is available at Dollar Tree as well, so you could totally do it with that. Now, I do have to kind of recreate that little bit of an arched cut there with my burlap because I don't want it to overlap the wallpaper too much. Once I got that cut down to size, for the bottom part, I go ahead and just hot glue that to the Dollar Tree acorn. You could kind of still see the hole there in the top of the sign, so I did fill that with a little bit of spackle before gluing that part of the burlap down as well. I thought it would be easier to cut it out now that I have it all glued down and secured to the acorn sign. So once that dries, I just go in with some really sharp scissors and just cut as close as I can to the acorn cap. And you guys know I love burlap. I think it looks really coastal and fun, and I think it looks really good together with that wallpaper. So this is what I was talking about when I was saying layering Dollar Tree signs. It's going to make it twice as thick. A lot of times it gets rid of the bow in the signs as well and can make it look really good. Now I was still not that happy with my whiteboards, so I'm touching it up a little bit with a little bit more ivory. And then I thought I would kind of make the lines distressed with a little bit more light blue, just to kind of make it match my acorn a little bit better, but still go with the coastal vibe. Now I like my acorn like tipped to one side. You can pick whichever way you like, and then I am just putting some hot glue on the back of that acorn and securing that down to our background side. Now with removable wallpaper, they also have like a whiteboard print that would be really cute back there too if you did not want to paint your sign in the back. Now, I have a couple different fall signs. I was trying to decide which one I like best. I have a Hello Fall one from the Dollar Tree, but I also had a really cute one from the Target Dollar spot that I thought would look really cute on there as well. It says, I love fall most of all, and it's like on a board. Either one I think would be really cute, but that's the one that I decided to go with this project. But I wanted something to talk about fall, but the little Hello Fall that you see there would be super cute as well, I think. I just used the existing holes in the hanger and just use some Dollar Tree jute and tie a little bow. That way I don't have to fill those holes up, and it adds a little decorative touch to the little mini sign that we're going to put on the acorn. I do kind of want to center this on the acorn, and even though the acorn's tipped to the side, we're going to make this sign like go straight up and down and glue that on there. Now I wanted it to look coastal, so I thought it definitely needed some seashells, and I have a couple cute seashells here for my stash, and you just gotta play around with whatever you've got, see what you like. I like to mix up different kinds of shells, different colors that complement the project that I'm working on. And I thought maybe 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom, kind of alternating sides, is going to fill up some of that open space on the background side. But it's also going to give it a nice coastal touch. Now I was thinking maybe one more over here And I have a little Dollar Tree shell. I love those little spotted ones that come in the little glass bottles. They're so cute. And then I thought it needed one more final touch. A rope border would make it look really coastal, and so that's what we're going to do. I'm using the brown rope from the Dollar Tree, and this is the thinner one. And I just start hot gluing that to the background sign. I think that that's going to make it look a lot more high-end because it makes the sign look a lot thicker, and it finishes off the edges with a nice frame. I like to just continue my one piece of rope all the way around. And then I usually like to cut it off and have my seam at the corner. I find that it's a little easier to hide there. So just a bead of hot glue and gluing that rope down. And if you add a little glue to your exposed areas there, it's a little bit easier to blend that in. And then I just go back with a lighter and burn off all the fuzzies on my Dollar Tree rope. And I think the sign turned out so cute for fall. The browns and the greens definitely look like something fun for fall, but then it's kind of unexpected with like the light blue and the different beachy touches like the burlap and the seashells. Okay, the next 3 fall DIYs, we're going to use these little wood pumpkins. They have these at the Dollar Tree every year, and I thought we could make these extra special. I did pick up 3 different colors, but I'm going to do similar colors to what's on there, like orange, white, and blue, but I'm going to kind of make them look, coastal and fun to go with my decor. I don't want to bother with the glitter and the decor that was already on there, so again, I'm just using some contact paper and a sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree and just covering the back of those signs, and so we can work on the back. The back of these little wood signs from the Dollar Tree are totally plain, and they have a great little wood stem on the top of them as well. And so I thought this was definitely the easiest way to DIY them. Just, glue all of that messy glitter down underneath the contact paper, and they're going to have nice backs that look really finished. So once I got all 3 of them on there, it's just a matter of removing these tags from the back. I like to use a putty knife and a little heat from my heat gun. Try to get off all the residue. I told you I wanted to do similar colors, so I'm mixing agave with a little bit of a lighter blue again to give me that soft blue beachy vibe. Very similar to an acrylic color that I use called Cloudless from Walmart. And then this one, it was kind of peachy color already, but I kind of wanted blues and oranges, and so this one I decided to just go with ivory to kind of be my in-between color. Looks very coastal with the blues and the oranges, and so that one's going to be ivory. This one is already orange on the back, but I'm going to paint it anyway because what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do a really cool effect on here. So I kind of do a very similar orange color on that one. And then I want to do a really cool kind of stencil. Now I also want the sides to be painted the same colors. At first I thought about kind of making them two-tone because they were very similar, the color on the sides. But then I decided I think that orange was a little brighter than what I was going for. So I mixed the orange together with some ivory to give me a softer orange color. And that was more my vibe. Now I made these great stencils using my Cricut and some stencil vinyl that I got on Amazon. And I thought we could do some fun designs here. So I just typed in a starfish, a sand dollar, and a sea turtle design on Cricut Design Space, and just cut out some simple stencils. I just checked to see if I had these saved, but I think they were like images that were already in the system, so I don't think that they'll let me share them, but maybe I'll try. But I got the sea turtle, I've got the starfish, and I got the sand dollar. And I'm going to put the stencils on. I'm not going to do a traditional color that you would think that I would do on these. But what I could do is I'm just going over them first with ivory. but I'm not going to leave it like that. That's just going to be kind of my base coat for the finish that I'm going to put on them, but I do enough to make sure that it's nice and white. Then taking Antique Wax by Waverly, I am going to drag my brush across. It's going to give a faux wood grain on top of the stencil with that ivory background, and it makes it look like wood. So what I wanted it to look like was that they were little wood pumpkins that had been painted, but like left some of the wood shining through where the little sea creatures are. I really liked the effect it gave me. It was super easy to pull off. And I used painter tape on mine to make sure that it didn't mess up any of the existing paint that I had on mine. Now, the little starfish had lots of little holes that were really hard to weed, and I decided it'd be easier just to paint them back on. And I'm just using a skewer from the Dollar Tree and dipping it in some ivory paint and just drawing those little dots back on. You can also use like the end of a paintbrush to get a really tiny little stick to give you some little dots like that. But I like the texture of it, but I wasn't gonna fight with the vinyl for the stencil. Now, this is a little sea turtle that I cut out. It was super cute. Now, it still has all the little pieces of vinyl down, and so I can kind of see where they are. I'm gonna go in and carefully with my little Cricut weeder, weed out all of the stencil vinyl, leaving that great sea turtle design on this pumpkin. And using stencils like this, it's a great way to take these cheap little pumpkins and make them look way more high-end, and I think they look so coastal with these designs. Here is the sand dollar, super easy to weed. Now, I didn't really worry about getting any paint on the stem on these because I knew I was going to wrap them in twine. So I just start with a dot of hot glue and wrap that Dollar Tree thin twine all the way up. And then I just glue down the end once I cut it. I just want to cover up all of the brown wood on there. It's just another little beachy touch that you can do on these. And these are 3 really cute little coastal fall pumpkin decorations that you can leave up all fall. I'm going to burn off the fuzzies there with just a lighter. And then I thought they kind of needed maybe a little bit more touches at the top. So I just take some of that twine and I just tie a simple little bow there at the top just to give a little decorative touch to the top of each one. Since they're all the same size and similar, I'm going to display them all together. So I'm going to kind of do the twine the same on all of them. And then I thought like some little tiny seashells would be really cute on them as well. Why not? We're doing the coastal decor, right? So I just go through my stash and try to pick out some tiny ones. Some of these are from the Dollar Tree. Some of these are from the beach. I have my shell stash. I try not to bring shells home from the beach anymore because I have too many. But I just hot glue that on the pumpkin, underneath the stem, underneath the little bow that I tied on each one. And I think it's a nice subtle little final touch to these. Kind of the tinier the better on these. And I think they turned out so cute. I love them. Here they are displayed with my coastal decor. I have a little whale there. And it's just a fun way to bring some fall touches into your coastal decor. And what do you guys think about like the wood grain on the stencil? Doesn't that look cool? Okay, here is another fall sign. This time I'm using an actually Dollar Tree sign, and we're going to try to make this look way more high-end and make a really fun fall leaf sign with some coastal vibes. Now, this is that whiteboard removable wallpaper from Dollar Tree that I was talking about that makes a great background for a coastal sign. And so I just drew on it the size of my Dollar Tree sign and just cut that out. A lot easier than probably trying to recreate that on your own. Because you can just peel and stick that to the front of the Dollar Tree sign. Now these Dollar Tree signs are kind of lightweight. I will show you what I do to reinforce this to make this like a sign that will stand on its own and not be too tippy. If you don't get it on there just perfect, you can kind of get off the excess just like you can with any of the contact paper around the edges with sandpaper. It kind of already had a matching side, So totally going to go with that. And one last step. Now this is a Dollar Tree wood leaf. It's the layered one that has like the two together. I don't need mine to be hanging because I want to attach this to the front of that sign. So again, I fill up the holes in the top of the sign with some Dollar Tree spackle. Now I kind of wish they would, I love these layered signs like this from the Dollar Tree, but I kind of wish they would like give them to you in separate layers somehow and you could put them together. That would be really great. But I'm using just some chalk paint, agave color, and I just use a tiny brush to kind of get in the little areas there. It's the back side, but it's the cutouts for the front leaf. And then I'm also going to, paint the back leaf too in that agave chalk paint. Now, there is a lot of details. I'm probably using way too big of a brush on that. So I do kind of follow it up with my tiny brush to kind of get in the details. I don't really care if I get any paint on the front sign, but I'm not doing it on purpose. Now, for the front part of the sign, I am using ivory chalk paint and trying to paint that on there. It's okay if you get it on the back sign because I'm going to distress it with ivory anyway, so might as well just embrace it. So I kind of go all over. If you want a cleaner paint job, you might want to use the little makeup sponges from Dollar Tree. They work great for these thin layered signs like this, trying to keep it off, but I wanted to distress the back sign. And so I just spread all that distress out with a baby wipe. It makes really look coastal and fun back there on the back leaf. And I thought we could take this cheap Dollar Tree sign and just really make it look special. So once I got that painted, I'm going to go over the leaf part with some Antique Wax by Waverly. And we're doing that same like wood grain effect by dragging the foam brush across it in one direction and giving me that faux grain. So it kind of has like the same kind of paint effects that we used on one of those pumpkins with like the blue and then the wood. And I think that looks really pretty. Once I get it on there, I kind of, distress it with my baby wipe. And, behind it is that ivory, so it kind of makes it look really cool. I kind of want it to look just slightly weathered. Now, once I get it looking exactly how I want it, it is time to put this together. I did think the stem would look really cute on this leaf if we were to wrap it in twine. And so I used a little dot of hot glue to attach that to the back of the leaf and then just wrap that around and around the little stem. It's going to give it another little coastal touch. It's going to bring in a little bit more of the brown too. Once I get that covered, I can just glue that to the back and snip off the excess twine. Now, I kind of want this to look like it is, falling over to the side. I think that looks a little bit more interesting, but I do want it to stand up on the bottom, so I don't want to overlap too much there. And then I thought, we could try to make this look coastal as well. So I was kind of playing with some seashells from my shell collection. I thought about doing the whole stem as a seashell, but I decided I liked the way that we decorated it, but it probably does need a few seashells, to be honest. Just trying my best to figure out which ones I like the best. I kind of ended up going with these, which were all like Dollar Tree seashells. Whenever I glue those down, I just kind of do the lip with a little bit of hot glue. Sometimes you need to do it under the pointy base, but just enough to, attach that to our sign. Kind of fills up some of the open space there. And I did hot glue that leaf to the sign too. I think my camera died there. But I decided I wanted a little bit more distressing on that leaf, so I decided to kind of just distress just the edges of the leaf. Kind of gives it a fun coastal vibe, and a little bit all over that back blue leaf. I think that makes it look really beachy and fun. And then I thought I'd finish it off with a little Hello Fall sign. This was from that kit that we used earlier to make the fall sign, so it's a little sticker sign, but you could totally use the same one from the Dollar Tree. That's maybe not quite so cursive a font. It would be just as cute. I just left it raw wood like that. I like all the different colors. They contrast well. And then I'm just going to use a couple of those Jenga blocks from Five Below here to try to make this sign a little bit more heavy duty and make it stand up. Because as you can see, it's a little flimsy as is. I was trying to figure out the best way to put those in there. And that is a nice box sign, so I just used a couple and kind of glued them on top of each other into the back of the sign. And this is going to make a great fall sign for my shelf. It's going to go perfect with my coastal decor. And I think it turned out really pretty. What do you guys think about our little Hello Fall? Here I displayed it with a dollar spot tray that I painted to look like the beach, but I think that looks so pretty. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick moment out of today's video to let you know about our Facebook group. It's always linked in the description below. You'll find out when I post new videos, and you're also going to see what all the crafty beach bums have been making. Everyone is so creative in that group. I also have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest, and my handle is Crafty Beach on YouTube. Okay, let's bake a coastal fall pumpkin using one of these cheap foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree and a Dollar Tree bath mat. I thought these like tan bath mats from the Dollar Tree kind of look like sand, so I thought maybe we could try to make a sand pumpkin with this, but a lot easier, right? I cut a hole in the top of my foam pumpkin because I'm going to need an area to be able to kind of press the fabric down into. And I just trimmed off a corner because I don't want any excess fabric if I can help it. I want to wrap this pumpkin with this bath mat, but I want to get it as tight as I can. So again, I cut off that corner and I just used my scissors actually to just kind of pry that down inside. Now, I could do the same thing on the other side, but I thought there was still too much fabric kind of in the way. So I'm going to trim that up a little bit to cut off any fabric, you know, that you're not going to be able to see there. And as you can see, I kind of tested it to see what would not be visible, and none of that would be visible once I got it up there. And so to make it tighter and closer to the pumpkin, with the bath mat, I just cut that little part out. Every little bit helps. And just push that down into the foam pumpkin. I'm going to do the same exact thing here on my fourth side. Cut out all the inside portion, pull it as tight as I can, and push that down into the center. Now the center part is where we can add a little pumpkin stem. It's going to help cinch all of that together and hold it tight. Now, I thought this side was way too loosey-goosey, so as you can see, I trimmed it up way more and was able to get a much better fit. You just have to have enough overlap there between the sides, but it's okay to kind of have that pumpkin shape where you can kind of still see like the little ridges of the pumpkin through the bath mat, which is kind of surprising that you can still see that, but you kind of can. Now, I thought a wood stem would be great. I actually got these on Amazon, but they have these at Dollar Tree as well. But I do have them linked in my Amazon shop if you can't find them there. Now, I wanted a few beachy touches. I thought some of this Dollar Tree onion grass would make a really cute, sand dune grass. So I kind of put that in that same hole in the pumpkin alongside my wood stem. You do kind of have to force it down in there with some scissors or something. But I kind of wanted the, little dune grass to be peeking out on the stem for my greenery. And then finish it off with a few coastal touches, like some seashells. And I'm just going to glue a little seashell here. I think they make great touches to the top of these coastal pumpkins. Few little sea walnuts and stuff I found at the beach. Kind of play with it to see what I like. I think a blue shell would look really cute. Make it a little bit more colorful and glue that on there as well. I don't want to add too many beachy touches, but you could also use that starfish from the Dollar Tree for yours. But there is our little bath mat coastal pumpkin. I do think it looks kind of sandy and fun, and it looks great with the rest of my coastal pumpkins. Okay, my next coastal fall sign is one of these little pumpkin cutout long signs from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to make ours look nice and beachy and fun for fall. So I go over it with agave chalk paint. And you can use whatever blue you want. And it does not have to be chalk paint. I actually tend to go more the acrylic route because I find that it's so much cheaper to paint with that. But since I was covering up the black pumpkin sign, I thought chalk paint would give me a little bit easier coverage, and it did. Then I distress it, working vertically with some ivory chalk paint, a chunky brush from Dollar Tree, and a baby wipe to kind of give me a coastal vibe. And I thought we could make a nice long pumpkin sign. I thought this would be a perfect sign for like farm fresh pumpkins. And so I used my Cricut, my extra long mat, and some of this Dollar Tree white vinyl, which I used, but I can't say I recommend it. I really like the kind I get on Amazon way better. But I have farm fresh, and then I cut out the word pumpkins vertically for this sign to fill it up, and I think that's going to be a fun way to decorate this long sign. I used a combination of 3 different fonts for this, and they are kind of wordy, so I'll put that in the description below, what fonts I used to make this. I used to not be able to figure out how to share my Cricut files, but I've gotten much better at it. They are a little picky with what they let you share and what they don't, so I did write down the fonts I used for these because I think they turned out really cute. And pumpkins is kind of a long word. I wanted it to be vertical like that, so I just used my extra long mat. But you could always do it in pieces to put it together. But I just attached that Dollar Tree white vinyl to the top of it and then seal it down with some matte Mod Podge right on top. Now this does already have a little pumpkin cutout, but you know what? If you were using one from another holiday or the plain ones from the Dollar Tree without a cutout, you could totally make it look that way with just a Dollar Tree pumpkin there at the top. I decided to go ahead and use one anyway to make a little like orange pumpkin to be peeking out from behind the cutout window. So just using one of those little Dollar Tree wood ornament pumpkins, I painted orange, distress it with some ivory to make it look coastal, and then we can just attach that to the back of the sign for a fun little surprise. But again, if you just had a plain sign, you could just put that on the front. You're going to get a very similar effect. And then one more distress with ivory all over, and this was such a fun little Dollar Tree DIY, and it looks so coastal for fall. Sometimes I like to use my original color, like that agave, to distress my vinyl. That way it kind of makes it look more hand-painted and less like plastic vinyl on the front of it. Super cute. I hate the way the Dollar Tree hangers hang against the wall though. So I flipped mine over and just tied the knots in the front. And I find that that thin sign hangs way closer to my wall, which again is going to make it look straighter. And this is how it looks hanging in my home. I have this little skinny wall here. It is the perfect fit for that. But you could fit this in lots of areas, and I think it turned out really cute. Okay, let's DIY another coastal pumpkin. This is one of the like flatter, sign pumpkins from the Dollar Tree with the 2 layers because it's got the little bump outs for the little sections of the pumpkin. And we're going to paint the back pumpkin, that agave chalk paint that we've been using a lot today to give me a nice beachy blue. You can use whichever blue is your favorite. I just went ahead and took the little bow off the top. There was a little raffia bow, which left a little glue there, but that's fine because I have plans for that. And then I'm going to do something really fun on these bump outs, but I wanted to give it a light stain with some Antique Wax by Waverly first to kind of have a background for any areas that, well, I'll just go ahead and tell you, we're going to add sand to those parts. Any areas that the sand is not attached to, I did want a stained wood behind it. Only reason I did that. So this is how we're going to attach the sand, which is going to make them look really beachy. I'm just using a coat of school glue all over my inset. And I'm actually using Dollar Tree white sand for this project. And maybe, the staining helps that to look a little bit tanner as well. I do prefer the Dollar Tree tan sand, but sometimes it's whatever you can find, right? And we can pretend this is a white sand beach. So I do the same thing on all 3 bump outs. I do a coat of school glue, which this is a great time to be buying school glue. It's like $1 at Target right now for back to school. And I always like to stock up back to school season. Now this is what it looks like with the white sand over the stained wood. I kind of like the combination. It turned out kind of cool. I am just tying some jute twine to the top of the pumpkin stem and then covering the hanger in it and just wrapping that all around to give us a nice little coastal pumpkin stem. Just going to secure that to the back with a little dot of hot glue. And I did find that maybe a few areas didn't have as much sand as I would like, so I just touch it up with a little bit more school glue, a little bit more sand, and kind of shake that off, and that's going to dry just fine. But I kind of like the staining behind the white sand. It definitely made it look beachy. Now I take some Dollar Tree wire jute there and just wrap it around a pen, and then I just wrap that around my pumpkin stem to give me the little curly tendrils that I like to use on my pumpkin projects. Then I thought it needed something beachy and fun at the top of it, so I was trying to find just the perfect thing for my stash, and I thought seashells would be perfect. So I'm just going to attach those with hot glue. It's going to cover up the glue that was already there from that little raffia bow when we began. And even though this was a hanging sign pumpkin, I'm going to kind of convert this and make it into a standing pumpkin, a little shelf sitter, if you will. And again, I'm just using a wood block. These are from Five Below, but you could totally use whatever you have. Sometimes I like to cut down extra wood that we have left over from projects into little blocks like this, because sometimes you just need a simple stand. And there it is. It's kind of peeking out from behind some of my other little beach pumpkins, but I think it turned out really cute, and it was so easy to make. This sand is a fun coastal touch. Okay, this is going to be another kind of pumpkin sign DIY. I found this great little metal pumpkin at Dollar Tree. It has a blue plaid, which is perfect. I don't really want mine to say gather, but we'll kind of modify this on our own. I just removed the raffia bow, and I wanted to make a little tiny sign with it. So I had a Halloween sign, and I had the back of one of those burlap bags from Dollar Tree, but just scrap pieces, and this was all the burlap I had. This was before Dollar Tree started having burlap. And so I'm going to have to piece together 2 pieces to make it work, but it's kind of the background for the pumpkin, so I don't think you're going to be able to tell. And I'm also not worried about, the Halloween print, the glitter and all that stuff that's on the sign back there either, because you're really only going to be able to see the corners where the little pumpkin's not laying. And I just attach my burlap with some hot glue, piece by piece. Now, if you could see through the burlap, I would have totally painted that sign behind it to begin with, but I know you're not going to be able to see it. Once I get it glued on there, I just trim it up a little bit. I like it to look a little frayed around the edges, but not too much. And then there is our little metal pumpkin side that we're going to attach to the front. I don't want mine to say gather though. I want mine to say the word beach. So I'm going to use some Dollar Tree stickers to kind of do my own thing here. I like the plaid, so we're going to leave that part on there. It looks nice and coastal already. And then we're going to cover the center part with some ivory chalk paint. And there are kind of like little creases in between. The little metal there can kind of try to help you stay in the right section, but it's easy enough to clean up with a baby wipe if you get a little bit on the plaid section. And I love crafting with these little metal pumpkins every year. I think they're so pretty. Have your Dollar Trees put out their fall stuff? I was really surprised to see fall and Halloween coming out a few weeks ago at some of them. And I wanted to set up beach, so I kind of need A to be in the center. I do want it to be like vertical, like spelling beach all the way down. So for spacing, I started in the middle and then spell out the word beach. Now these are like a plasticky letter sticker, and they do have blue on them, but they're a little too busy for what I want. So I'm going to kind of make them my own. So the first thing is I go over all of them with some ivory chalk paint to give a nice ivory background on those, and kind of cover up some of that red foil design that was on there as well. And then I'm going to go in with some Antique Wax by Waverly and distress everything with that to age it, give it some coastal vibes. And it's just going to make it look, I think, a little bit more high-end. Then I go back with my ivory color to brighten the middle up, but I also distress the outside with the ivory as well. And then I wanted the letters to be distressed in blue, so I'm using agave for that, dragging that on top of the letters. Again, since the letters are kind of raised a little bit, you can kind of drag on top of it and get like that, you know, kind of like bump out letter, like it's like kind of embossed in it, is what I was going for on that. And it is still a little faint. I do touch it up a little bit more once I get it on there to make it look a little bit better, because I wasn't super happy with it at this point. But I just tie some Dollar Tree twine off into that little hole hanger on the top. And again, we're going to have just a little twine pumpkin stem. So easy, perfect for fall. Now, I kind of need to use a spacer in between the metal pumpkin and the sign to get it to attach. So I use some Dollar Tree Jenga blocks and glue that to the metal pumpkin. And then I can glue that to my little burlap covered sign. Now, be careful. Metal can be a little tricky to hot glue, but this is kind of a small enough project that it stayed on pretty well. And I think it looks really cute, but I thought it was a little bit hard to read. That's why I do patch up the paint a little bit. I'm going to reattach that little raffia bow to the top and then go back in with a tiny brush and some more of that agave and distress that way heavier just to make it easier to read. I don't want it to look perfect. I want it to look coastally and distressed, but I do want you to be able to read it. And I think that looks way better. What do you guys think? About our little beach pumpkin. It's a fun way to take a few items from the Dollar Tree and make them look way more high-end. There it is next to that first sign that we made today. I think they go really well together. Okay, let's do another coastal fall pumpkin using one of those foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. This one we're going to cover with a Dollar Tree scarf. I like the white ones. I always try to pick those up when I can find those at Dollar Tree. They come in like white, orange, and black, I believe, the foam pumpkins, but it can make it easier when you're working with like a thin fabric like this. I just cut out a rectangle of that beautiful blue scarf material from the Dollar Tree, and I wanted to see if I could wrap it. Now, since it is a scarf, it's a little bit skinnier than I need it to be, but I think we can make it work. So I use a little hot glue to get it as close as I can to the top, which again, I just poked a hole in the top like we did before, so I have somewhere to kind of put the fabric in there to cinch this up. And I think there'll be enough overlap to cover that open part there that you see when we wrap the rest of the fabric around. And again, it's a circular surface, so you kind of have to kind of work with that, pull it tight to the circle. And then I gather it together, cutting off the excess fabric so I don't have too much that I poke inside. And then again, just using my scissors to poke that fabric down into the center of that Dollar Tree foam pumpkin. I gather the other side, bring it up, cut off the excess, and it does cover, like, you know, any of the parts that were still exposed from the scarf being a little bit skinny. But I think that this scarf is a nice beachy blue color. And it's definitely a lot easier to cover it with fabric than to try to paint it since it is foam. And I think it makes it look really nice too. Again, I'm going to use a wood stem, just poking that in for the top. You could totally use the wood stems from Dollar Tree as well. Our stores used to never carry those, but I've had a lot of luck finding those lately. And I have quite a stash of them now. I take some of that wired jute from Dollar Tree, wrap it around a pen for a perfect little pumpkin tendril, one of my favorite little pumpkin hacks. And I put that in underneath the stem to help hold that in there. And then I thought it just needed a few more beachy touches to the top. We could use seashells there. And just a different variety, different colors, and hot glue those to the top of our little beach pumpkin. This was so easy to put together, and it turned out so cute. I was thinking a little Spanish moss might help it look, really fun for fall. So I just took a little piece of Spanish moss from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to attach that there on the other side. And it goes great with the shells and stuff too. Kind of looks like seaweed on our beaches here. But I think it also goes with the fall vibe. And that's how it turned out, our little Dollar Tree scarf fall pumpkin. And it looks great with some of those other coastal fall pumpkins we made today. Now, this one I wanted to make a little blue truck full of pumpkin sign from Dollar Tree, but I wanted kind of a square background. I took the paper off of this one just because it was already loose, but usually that's not the way these Dollar Tree signs work, but since it was, I went with it, right? And that way the hanger can stay on the back of this Dollar Tree wood sign. And I'm just painting over the top of it with some ivory chalk paint. And then I go back with some Antique Wax by Waverly and just distress in one direction to give me a nice coastal background for a little blue truck sign. Now, I got this little blue truck sign at Dollar Tree, but I wanted to flip it over and kind of paint it myself and see if I can make it look a little bit more high-end and less like printed paper. So it was a little jagged, so I sanded all of the edges of my little blue truck, and then I also filled the holes from the hanger with some spackle. And we're going to use some of that agave chalk paint by Waverly and make our own little blue truck on the back. The great thing is you can just flip it over and look at the other side for any details you might want to put on there. I kind of wanted to do my own little 3D pumpkins in the back of this little blue truck. And I've done lots of little blue truck DIYs, especially for fall. It's one of my favorite things. I think it looks nice and coastal, goes with my beach vibe, but also looks really fun for fall too. So I'm going to distress it with a little ivory, right? So I totally do, working in one direction. I think it gives all of my coastal projects just that coastal farmhouse vibe. And then I'm just using paint pen, and I'm going to draw on the back window of the truck. And I kind of played around with different colors on this one. This was gold is what I started with. And I thought that would look good for fall, but I do touch this up a lot, you'll see. And I kind of do the little rails here on the truck. It's going to kind of be veering out, so it's wider at the front of the, back. So I just keep flipping it over and looking and seeing any details that need to be added, like the back bumper and the back of the truck. I'm going to have mine with no tailgate, all open so we can fill it with pumpkins. And then I also distress all of that paint that I just put on there with some more of the ivory, just to kind of make it look a lot softer. And then for the back window, I actually just use some Antique Wax by Waverly to fill that in. And I'm also using that on the little tires instead of a harsher black. And then I'm also going to distress my truck to kind of make it look older, kind of rustier with the Antique Wax by Waverly too. And then I thought it might be a little dark, so then I go back and distress those Antique Wax by Waverly parts with some ivory too. And then I was just kind of playing around with it, trying to figure out, I like the gold paint pen, but I do think it needs like some more details, and I will touch it up a little bit more, but this is what we're going to use for the little pumpkins in the back. These little clothespin pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. I wish they didn't have clothespins on them. Sometimes they pop right off. Sometimes they can be a challenge. But if you're lucky, you can find some without those on there. But I kind of wanted these because they have little, details on there. And if I paint them orange, you can kind of still see the details on there. So I can kind of hand paint lots of little wood pumpkins really easily. And I'm just using orange chalk paint and doing one coat on each one of the raw wood to make my little pumpkins. And you could soften that color up too if you didn't want quite so bright of an orange. Once I get all of these pumpkins, I think that's going to be plenty to fill up the back. I give them a quick dry and then just use a paint pen. I can draw on all the little pumpkin leaves very easily because I can kind of see through there. You could also use little foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree if you wanted to cut them in half to make it even more 3D. I didn't want mine to stick out too much. And then I used my gold paint pen, kind of a tannish color, to do my little pumpkin stems. And then it's a matter of filling up the back of my truck with the pumpkins. So I kind of start here at the back of the top and just start gluing those in there, kind of going every which way, but kind of up, still all upright, to fill up the back of our truck. And then I thought we could kind of overlap those as we go. Where they overlap slightly, it's going to make them look like they're all kind of piled on top of each other in the back of the truck. It's a good idea to lay them out first to make sure that you're going to have enough. I actually had one too many. Now I wanted a little custom license plate, kind of what they had on the other side. And so I just used like a jumbo popsicle stick and just cut that with scissors kind of down to size. It's going to cover that up. Just something fun that we can make a little custom license plate for the back of our little blue truck. The first thing I do is give it a coat of ivory. Just because I want it to have a nice white background. And then I'm going to use a couple Dollar Tree fall stickers to decorate it. They have this really cute one that says Happy Harvest. Thought that was really fun for fall. They also have these really cute little pumpkins and stuff like that. They had little detail pieces that I thought would be cute on each side. Then once I get them on there, I also distress it with a little antique wax by Waverly to make it have that coastal farmhouse vibe. And then just hot glue that on the little bump out there for the license plate. And this was a project I kind of worked with until I was happy with it. I thought the details were a little muted on the truck, the way that I painted it. I mean, I want them to look, more farmhouse than the paper, but I also wanted you to see the edges. So the first thing I did was try to just go around like all the edges with that same gold paint pen to see if I liked that a little bit better. Just to kind of try to brighten it up. And the license plate as well. And that's what it looks like so far, like on my little coastal background. Then I decided, nope, I wanted to have white. If it had a white border, it would really make it pop. So I do a really sloppy paint job with my white paint pen to give it like a distressed white look. And I was so much happier with that. And it kind of makes sense with my like white sign underneath of it. So I outlined the truck details, the tires, the rear window. And then I also distressed all of the pumpkins with a little ivory as well. I think it looks so much better with the white. So you can save yourself a few steps and just do a white paint pen to begin with. I also distressed my truck a little bit more with some more ivory. Just to totally give it that old vintage vibe. And painting over those stickers do kind of make them look a little bit better. I'm going to use some wood glue and some hot glue on the back of this to make it even sturdier. And whenever you stack those Dollar Tree signs, you're going to get a way better sign in the end. And I just glued that to the front. I think the last thing it needs is a bow. I'm going to use a combination of some Dollar Tree bows and burlaps. I got the orange burlap, some orange and like tan gingham, some burlap and orange pumpkins, and I even found some like little red truck pumpkin ribbon. And I'm just going to do a really simple expo on this. Super fun, kind of working from larger to smaller and cinching the little expo together with just a zip tie on the back. I love making expos because they're so easy, so forgiving. And you can get lots of different textures and colors going on there. And they're so easy to make. So I was trying to decide what I wanted to cover my little zip tie part with. And my extra pumpkin, or I had a little metal leaf off of another fall DIY, and I decided to use that. I like the contrast. And this is how it turned out, our little blue truck full of pumpkins. So cute for fall. And I love the little blue truck for a coastal vibe. Okay, you guys ready for another coastal fall pumpkin? This time we're going to use some of this really soft light blue chenille yarn from Dollar Tree and another one of those foam pumpkins. And the white one definitely works the best for this one in case you can see in between any of the yarn. And then I kind of just crisscross and just start wrapping the entire pumpkin piece by piece with that soft chenille yarn. This color is so beachy and blue. And then I just kind of start just going around. You have all those little grooves that you can kind of get started with. And then just keep wrapping the foam pumpkin until you can't see any of the white. And you just keep turning your pumpkin, and pretty soon you're going to have really good coverage. It did take quite a bit of that yarn roll there, as you can see, before I was happy with it. But once you get it all done, you can go ahead and cut off your twine. And then I'm going to use another one of those wood stems to attach my yarn by cutting a hole in the top of the pumpkin and pushing that down in there. It's going to secure all of my beautiful yarn together and kind of end it. Just going to make sure you get your hole big enough but not too big because you want your little stem to be tight. Now, I think it looks really pretty with that color. I thought like maybe one of these little Dollar Tree white starfish and like a seashell would be really cute on top. And you guys know I love the wire jute cord for the little tendril tail. So I just cut a piece of that down, wrap it around a pin to give me a little tendril. Kind of poke that down next to our stem. Just kind of hold that into place with a little friction there too. And then I can hot glue the little Dollar Tree white starfish. It's going to look great against that blue. Just kind of staggered over that and our little wood stem. And then I was trying to decide if it needed a seashell as well here at the top to kind of balance it out a little bit. And then which one I would like the best. Kind of play around with it. And I end up a smaller like white shell is going to kind of go more with that starfish. So I hot glue that to the top of this little coastal pumpkin as well. And this one might be my favorite one that we made like that today. It's so pretty. I love that yarn. And it was pretty easy to make. And here it is, one of the 5 beachy coastal pumpkins that we made today as part of these 15 coastal fall DIYs. Now, this is a thrift flip sign that I got just for a couple of dollars at Goodwill, and we're going to remake it. I love it because it's a wood palette sign, and I'm going to paint it all over with ivory, and we're going to do a fun hand-painted sign. Now, if you guys watch my coffee bar videos, this is that sign. This is the very first time I painted this sign, and I've remade this sign over and over. I love this sign for my coffee bar, but I used to use it in my entryway before I used it in my coffee bar even. So want to cover up all that white writing, so that's why I went over it with white. And to give myself a white canvas, I want the different boards on this thrifted sign to be different colors. So I'm going to use some painter's tape to tape off the top and the bottom board so I can make the middle board this agave beachy color of blue in chalk paint by Waverly. Whenever you have white writing on a sign like that and you're trying to cover it up, when you do white, it covers it up so well. Peeling off my painter's tape. And I'm actually going to make some stencils for this and make it really fun. I want to make a farm fresh pumpkin sign with this, but I want it to look nice and coastal too. So I'm distressing the ivory parts with some antique wax by Waverly, a chunky brush, and a baby wipe to give it that coastal aged look. I'm also going to distress the blue part as well. Might as well. Whenever you have a palette sign like this too, you kind of want to make sure you don't have any drips that go down between the boards. But if you do, they're easy enough to clean up. I like to kind of use my Cricut weeder to kind of clean that up too. But I just distress that blue board until I'm happy with it. And then measure this out and cut down some stencil vinyl. This is the stencil vinyl that I get on Amazon. It is listed in my shop below. And I cut out like farm fresh pumpkin stencils here. And I did check to see if I had this file saved, and I don't. But basically, I just use like a script font for farm fresh and some like larger blocky letters here for the pumpkins. I just did like some pumpkin patch words. Like you pick would be fun, open daily, like a little arrow. I wanted to look like a fun like farm pumpkin patch sign, and using a stencil that I cut down for each layer. I did have to use my long mat for this one to get it all cut out in one piece, and I was crafting away with this when I should have been like reading the sign, because I wanted this to say farm fresh pumpkins. And as you can see, your girl typed in fresh farm, and I do the whole thing before I notice it, and then I'm like, ugh. So you'll see a crafting fail, but you'll also see me go back and fix it because it was driving me crazy. But the first two boards we're going to paint are the ivory outer boards. And I got my stencil secure. I do like to use painter's tape on the sides of it to try to protect my sign. But the stencil vinyl is great because it does not stick to my freshly painted sign. Now I'm going to use Antique Wax by Waverly to cover my stencil, and then drag it in one direction. It's going to give me that same faux wood grain that I think looks so fun. I just kind of daub it on and then go back and kind of drag it for that nice wood grain. But I want to make sure that I don't get any under the stencil. And I'm going to do the same thing here for the bottom too with the U-pick and the open daily. And I think this is going to be a really cute sign once I get my words in the right order. So peeling off my painter's tape and my stencil vinyl, then all you have to do is weed out your extra vinyl when you're making a hand-painted sign like this. And I think that wood technique looks really good for a farm fresh little sign like this, little farm sign. And weeding off the top as well. You would think I would have noticed this at some point, and it's like all the way to the end of this DIY when I actually read my sign. So be careful, read your stencils you're making before you do it. I wanted pumpkins to be big and bold, so I cut it out as big as I could to take up the entire board with this stencil. And we're going to be going on the blue. I'm just trying to line it up straight. And you guys know that I love to do like a white on blue sign, But since this is like fall and pumpkins, I decided to mix it up a little bit. Just making sure that all of my stencil vinyl is good and down. You want to make sure the sides of your letters are good and secure. And so I decided to do orange. So I'm using a stencil dauber from Dollar Tree and some orange chalk paint and going all over my stencils. And I kind of like the contrast with the orange and the blue. It's really fun for fall. But then again, I use blue for every season, including Christmas. Could have used a little bit more painter's tape there, but peeling that all off, and I think that contrast is nice. Just gonna give that a quick dry, and then I thought we could use some Dollar Tree pumpkins to fill out the rest of our little pumpkin sign. There's two different sizes I have here. The little ornament ones are a little bit bigger, and then just popping some more of those off that we used in the back of the truck with the little clothespins on the back, and painting those all orange. Again, I'm gonna paint my little leaves green and my stems brown. For this one, I'm gonna kind of draw some lines back on the pumpkin with my brown paint pen, and then a brown stem on that one as well. Kind of soften some of that up with the original orange color too. I wasn't super happy how I drew my lines on there, so I decided to try again, this time with an ink pen first and then painting the orange over the top, and that gave me a much softer line. I like that better. So we're just going to glue the different pumpkins to the different sides here. I kind of left some open space on the sides of my sign for that. I'm going to glue the 3 little pumpkins over on this side and my one larger one over here. And it's wood on wood. I just use a combination of wood glue and hot glue to secure those. And that's when I read my sign. And I was like, are you kidding me? I thought I was done with this project. I could have left it, but I'm kind of a perfectionist sometimes. So I went back over it with ivory, went back to my Cricut, changed the order of my words. And so kind of got to start over, but this time it says Farm Fresh, which is what I meant. But this is me fixing my error, distressing it again, Antique Wax by Waverly, going back and distressing everything with a little bit of ivory. In the end, it worked out okay, but that was frustrating, that part. Don't do that. I also did decide to distress the pumpkins part with the ivory too, just because I kind of like that vibe and kind of everything on there. And that's what I kind of wanted it to look like, just an old farm sign, but a really cute one, right? I think this would look great indoors or outdoors. And I really love that wood grain technique with stencils. Hey guys, I wanted to let you know that I've introduced memberships on my channel. For $4.99 a month, you can help me and support my channel. You're also going to get early ad-free access to my videos and shout outs. And I have a big shout out to give to the following Crafty Beach Mums. Thank you so much to Karen O'Haron, Coastal Couple, Pamela Bergeron, I Am Mojo Jojo, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Sandra Ray, Stacy Hall, Carrie R., Tracy Knight, and Verna Noctigal. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I appreciate you so much. And now it's time for the final reveal. Don't forget to like this video, comment your favorite Coastal Fall DIY below, or just come say hello. And don't forget to subscribe. We're so close to 20,000 subscribers. Enjoy!
One way to see, one way to know. Just never look back and just letting it go. Your heart is a drum, you're biting your tongue, hoping to reach out and touch the soul. Who is Enthusiastic summer's gone. It's moved on. In rolls the dawn, hoping to lift you off the ground, but you won't let go, not this time around. They don't know why they're falling down. They don't know when they'll hit the ground. As far as my eyes can see you.
Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to watch more Crafty Beach YouTube things you might enjoy, this video right here.